welcome to Just Talk Funerals with me, Jason Threadgold.
And me, Nicola Threadgold.
Just Talk Funerals is all about the funeral industry, the people that work alongside us, and an insight into what we do.
We will have some special guests along the way, sharing their experiences and how their professions overlap with what we do.
So get yourselves comfy, grab yourselves a cuppa, and let's get into today's episode of
Just Talk Funerals. Hello and welcome back to this episode of Just Talk Funerals with myself and Jason. Okay, so in this episode we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, aren't we?
We are.
Because you recently shared a post on Facebook on our funeral directors page around things that people don't often realise that funeral directors do, didn't you? And it obviously struck a chord with the public. And today we wanted to talk about the unseen, unspoken and often unacknowledged parts of what maybe a funeral director does. So before we start and I start questioning you on it, I'll just read that post. So it was entitled, "What is the role of a funeral director?" Yesterday, I had one of those days where I felt really sad for someone. That's not to say I don't feel this for everyone, because we always empathise with everyone's situation. Having sat with a lovely lady that had lost her husband, it became apparent that she was getting nowhere fast with cancelling car insurance and changing home insurance, both really important things to deal with when someone has died. She was so surprised that I offered to help, but I just felt it was what I had to do. So 2 calls later and around 20 minutes, it was all sorted. All she had to do was give the company's authority to speak to me once I'd got through to the right department. The role of a funeral director, it's whatever it needs to be to help those we are privileged to serve. Yeah, and that went pretty crazy on our Facebook page, didn't it? So, it sort of makes you realise that, and, from a lot of the lovely comments we got, that, people don't always realise, do they, what other things happen when we meet with families, and, going above and beyond is what we certainly want to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
So people often don't realise how much listening a funeral director does. So how much of the role is simply about being present?
Oh, the majority of it, I would guess. I mean, if you're not listening, then you're not taking on board what you're there to do and provide. Listening is the key thing that you should be doing.
Yeah.
Because, yes, you're dealing with the death of somebody, but you don't know the circumstance necessarily. You don't know what's going on in the background. Dynamics is all sorts.
Yeah, definitely. And in your experience, how often do families just want somebody to talk to? I think we can all say that within the whole team.
Yeah, I think you find there are a large percentage of families that need to talk to somebody and need to get stuff off their minds.
Yeah.
There are those people that are a little bit more guarded that choose not to share things with you, but when you've kind of gained the trust of them and you listen and just listen, then it's surprising how much they will then start talking and what then comes out.
Yeah. And I think it is surprising, isn't it, that, often, and I know when I've been in a room with a family, that they will often share things with you that maybe they've not told anybody else.
Oh, often stuff that they've never told the family before.
Yeah.
And whatever you say to your funeral director stays with your funeral director.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And how we support people, but, we definitely, and we've said on many podcasts, and we say it all the time, don't we, that we're not counsellors, but we do still offer that deep emotional care to people, don't we? It's important.
Oh, yeah. You never profess to be a counsellor unless you're a counsellor. We're a listening ear. I'm not going to be giving people advice. I can give them life experience and scenarios that I've been put in and things that I've seen and done and been in touch with, but it's not for me to guide people through an emotional journey, but to be there and listen to them might just be all they need.
Yeah.
Just to offload some of the things that they think they're dealing with on their own.
Yeah.
But when a lot of the times they realise that a lot of people are going through this same thing and it is normal and there is a way out of it or around it, then you can see the sort of burden lift and ease from them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so do you feel that, as a funeral director, that you are often taking on board fear, guilt, anger, regret? That all comes onto your shoulders.
Every day.
Yeah, and how do you deal with that?
Do you know, I don't know how to answer that really. Probably you just do, and you just take it for granted that if you're in this role that you're going to have to deal with things like that.
Yeah.
And you have to find your own way of compartmentalising things like this, and then maybe it's a wrong thing, but I would think probably a lot of us box a lot of that emotion up and put it elsewhere. I know we need to deal with it at some point, but at the point where you're dealing with somebody else's emotion and anguish, then it's not for us to get emotional. We need to deal with that, take it in, process it however we need to process it, and take it away from that environment.
Yeah.
And just by doing that, I think you can lessen the burden on the people that you sat there with, because they've kind of problem shared is a problem halved kind of thing. So they feel a little bit better that they have managed to talk to somebody about something.
Yeah. Do you think as a funeral director that a funeral director is seen as that person that goes in as the calm character amongst the maybe quite hectic and chaotic time for people?
Yeah, you've got to stay calm regardless of whatever's going on beneath the scenes. You've got to be that one that stands there, sits there, takes it all on board, speaks when they need to speak, not just be the one that's speaking all the time. And we do bring a sense of calm with us because we're not fazed by anything. Those of us that have done this long enough, there's probably nothing that we haven't ever seen before.
Yeah.
And I think through experience of being in this role, you find a way to cope with it and deal with it. And you just, through experience, you learn how to talk to people and know the key things to say to people to try and lessen their burden.
Yeah. Okay. So what kind of phone calls do you think people, they don't realise that you take as a funeral director?
Oh, there's all sorts. And I'm sure we'll probably get emotional by the end of this. I occasionally get people ringing the early hours of the morning to go through the list of people that attended the funeral. And as an independent funeral director, I don't think a lot of people realise that we're not a national or multinational. We don't have a call centre in the Midlands sat there answering all of our calls for us. We answer every call ourselves. So if somebody rings at 2 a.m, I'm going to be answering at 2 a.m, or whoever's on call is going to be answering at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And this poor lady was mortified when I said, would you mind if I just pop into the office? Why, aren't you in the office now? Well, no, actually, I'm in bed. It's 2 a.m.
I mean, that was a lady you could say
I
that
could
to.
say that, so I couldn't have said that to her, but I'd known her a long while. But I don't know why she thought I was sat in the office at 2 a.m, but I could quite easily have been, couldn't I?
Yeah.
We've had conversations with people who've rang up that distraught, people that are wanting to take their own lives, and then you feel like you're having to counsel them and talk them down from that. There's anything and everything can get thrown at you 24 hours a day. You don't know what you're answering until you pick that phone up.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that, whether it's late at night, early morning, that can be quite overwhelming, can't it?
It can. And again, you quickly have to process whatever's in front of you and adapt to, number one, how the person's talking to you, what they're trying to say to you, because it's not always a compos mentis conversation. It could be babbled. It could be the fact that they've had a drink or something else.
Yeah.
And they feel at that point they then want to offload everything to you, as opposed to when they're with you. You've just got to, whatever comes through on that phone, process it very quickly and see how you react back to it. And if it's something that could potentially, if it's in the middle of the night, does it need to be dealt with there and then? If it does, then it does. If it doesn't, then suggest that we deal with it a little bit later. But when you're on call, you don't sleep deeply anyway because you're expecting the phone to ring.
Yeah.
And you're always on edge. Number one, because you don't want to wake everybody else up in the household as well when you start taking the phone calls.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you stay calm when families are panicking or emotional or conflicted? Because, there's times where you'll go to like a home address, and I know you've maybe come back and you've mentioned that, there was maybe 5 or 6 members of the family, there was a bit of a conflict, how are you staying calm?
It will do no good to anybody for me to get flustered by it. I'll sit and listen to everybody's perspective, but then at the end of the day, we've got a role to fulfill to carry out the last rites for this person in whatever way, in theory, they wanted. A lot of the time what you find is it's what the family think that person wanted. That's where a lot of the conflict comes in, because there's disagreements there. One thinks burial, one thinks cremation, one thinks ashes somewhere, and vice versa, all these sorts of things. You do have to kind of take a role a little bit as a mediator. Just listen to everybody, not give your opinion, never give your opinion of what you think you should do, but just go through the pros and cons of everybody's conversation, and eventually 99% of the time you end up coming to an amicable resolution for everything.
Yeah. You talk about all of this, and I guess, when you started funeral directing, which was what?
3 years ago.
30 odd years ago, you wouldn't have known all of this then. It's just through your 30 years of experience and being with different people and understanding. I
think I've learned, the way I was brought up as a child, I spent an awful lot of time with my grandparents, because both my parents were out at work all hours. So you'd spend a lot of time, especially with my Granny Smith. That's what we got left with her a lot of the time. And you'd always got a lot of middle-aged to elderly people around all the time. You listen to the conversation. It was always sir and miss and madam and these sorts of things, and you were always respectful, and your mannerisms. So you'd soon get pulled up if you'd done something wrong. I would get a clip round the ear if I'd said something inappropriate somewhere or done something wrong. So I think that was a good grounding for me growing up in that kind of environment. Grandparents can teach kids a lot because they've got them life experiences, and they're not as stressed as the parents of the children tend to be. The grandparents can be a little bit more detached in that sense, because at the end of the day you can hand the children back at the end of the day, can't you? But I learned a lot from them. Coming into the funeral industry though, I kind of made my own way. I know we have the governing bodies where we listen to their teachings and that, but some of the things I choose to I'm a Scunthorpe lad. At the end of the day, there's no messing around with this, and I will talk like a Scunthorpe lad. I'm not going to say something and pussyfoot around something. I will literally say it as it needs to be said. And I think being honest in that way, how I put things across to people, I think that's got me a long way over the years. I fit comfortably into environments where you start talking to people, especially when they've lost somebody. I think as well, and it's like our training when we train the team, and it's a bit like our governing body that you alluded to. You're given all these resources to be able to learn and understand your role, but it's so important and crucial that you are still giving your own human element to that, isn't it? And your own sort of take on it. And we talk about that a lot with our team, don't we? We can give them the resources and try and understand the training, but we don't want them all to be the same and be robotic with that. No.
They have to bring their own character into it, don't they?
Be yourself, otherwise people see straight through you. Why would you profess to be anything else than what you are anyway? I think people can see through that, can't they? Yeah, if you come across as something that you're not, then it's fake. So we talked about the post that you'd put on Facebook, and obviously that lady was extremely happy and probably a bit surprised, wasn't she, that the fact that you'd took that time and you'd helped her and done that for her. Do you think funeral directors often provide surprises for people? Every day. Every day. If you're a good funeral director, then you should be going that bit further than just providing a funeral service. We'd probably got to the end of what I needed to do at that funeral arranging. I was sat with her and a friend, and it was only in passing when I'm talking about insurances and things. She said that she was getting frustrated. Companies were supposed to be ringing her back. Every time she spoke to them, she was getting emotional because all they kept saying is, I need to speak to the policyholder. And somebody who's going through this emotional roller coaster and this grief hasn't got the power or the energy to push into that, to bite back at these people that are reading through a script.
Yeah.
And it's just sometimes getting through to the right department. Once you get past the gatekeepers in some of these companies, then it's smooth, plain sailing. But you do have to have the emotional ability to be able to do it. And somebody that's lost somebody, especially a husband of nearly 50 years, you're not going to have that.
I think the thing is as well, you know yourself, don't you, when, you know, somebody like myself, if I've got to ring like a car insurance company, or I've got to ring a hospital or somewhere where there's a call centre, you know, before you even start to ring these people, that you're onto a battle, because you'll never get through to the right department straight away, or that you'll get through and then you get cut off, or then they'll want to know more information that you haven't got to hand, or, you know, there's always something, isn't there? So trying to battle through those sort of scenarios when you've lost somebody who's maybe been the person that's dealt with all that too.
Exactly.
It's, you know, that's so hard, isn't it? So
it's a minefield.
Yeah.
It is a minefield.
So, you know, why wouldn't we want to help and help people?
And to me, it was 20 minutes of my time. I mean, it could have taken hours for all I was bothered.
Yeah.
I would have still got to the bottom of it for her. And I didn't want to leave that house knowing full well that she's sat in a property that's uninsured because the policyholder's passed away.
Yeah.
And she's not able to drive a car because all she was a named driver on the policy. These are things that sometimes people miss.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think a lot of our time is now spent around helping people outside of the funeral itself?
Yeah, the funeral's only a small part of what we do.
Yeah.
You'll see the pinnacle of it, I guess, on the actual day of a funeral, which is anywhere from half an hour up to 3 or 4 hours for an actual funeral service. But the stuff in the background that goes on, the amount of time you spend with people, is way more than the actual funeral itself.
And I think we've touched on that before, isn't it? You know, around people see the funeral, but they don't always see the hours before and after that it's taken to put that funeral together. You know, it can take a lot of hours, can't it? Depending on the complexities of a funeral, the more that's involved in a funeral, you know, it can take a lot of time.
It's surprising who you end up talking to for some funeral services, some authorities and bodies that you would never think that you'd have to speak to do with a funeral.
Yeah. So when we talk in terms of like a 9-to-5 role, which funeral directing is not, how much of this job or a funeral director's role happens outside of a 9-to-5 role? I
think what you probably find in the 9-to-5 part of it, if you want to call it that, is where you're actually conducting the funerals and there's preparation work going on, whether that be for the person that's passed away or the coffin, the vehicles, paperwork, things like that. But out of hours is sometimes easier for a lot of funerals, especially if they're busy funeral directors, to meet with families on an evening. And it's probably better for a lot of the families because they can get more people there.
Yeah.
People are limited on the time they can take away from jobs, professions when somebody's passed away, and they might only get a couple of days worth of bereavement leave.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to use that for the day of the funeral, maybe the day after the funeral. Whereas on an evening, to us, if we're on call anyway, we're waiting in one sense to get called out.
Yeah.
So why would we not utilise that time to be with people?
Yeah.
And especially arranging funerals, taking people home where they want to be taken home as well. And now we have Simpson's Corner doing evening services as well. So there's all sorts going on.
Yeah, okay. When you talk about on call, what does that mean to be on call emotionally?
For me?
Yeah.
For me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I maybe should have asked you that question. I know I can be maybe tetchy at times because you're expecting the phone to ring, and it will ring every single night. It will ring for multiple things, whether that's prior you supposed to going to bed or whether it's whilst you're in bed. You're just always conscious that whatever you're doing might have to stop immediately. And whether that's cooking, whether you sat watching something on TV, whatever you're doing,
If you're eating.
times at eating,
Yeah.
then you either leave it or you wolf it down really quick, but then that's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
Even on a Christmas Eve on a carol concert. We were due to go for an hour across the road to the church where we lived at the time, and just as we were walking out the door, we got called away, didn't we?
We did.
But it's all part and parcel of what we do. You don't sign up for this unless you expect that your personal life is going to get interrupted because of call-outs for whatever that call-out is.
Yeah. Now, this is a huge question for you.
Oh, dear.
Me knowing you so well. How do you switch off, Jason?
Do I? I think it's probably the question.
Yeah.
I struggle. I really, really, really struggle. Even when we do manage to get time away, I'm not switched off.
No.
I'm never switched off. I try and try, especially when it's just our time together, but I do struggle. At the end of the day, we created this between us. This, even though I'm a funeral director, could have been a funeral director anywhere, this is our baby in one sense, and I'm not going to let that go unprotected and not look after it and make sure that I'm keeping an eye on it all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have been known to interfere when I'm away and be put in my place by our management, just to say let them deal with things because they are looking after things.
Yeah. Okay. And when we talk about shield, I want to talk a little bit about how we protect people as well. How do we shield people from stress, conflict, or complexity at such a vulnerable time to them?
I think we've probably covered a lot of this already, but just sitting and listening to people and taking on board everything that they've got to say. If there's things going on in the background that, much as we'll keep people informed of things, they don't need to know. If something goes a little bit pear-shaped that they have no control over, then why would I burden them with that? Let us deal with that.
Yeah.
It could be to do with a doctor, a coroner, medical examiner, could be anything really. Why would I bother the family with that and then get them more anxious than they need to be? That's, at the end of the day, what we're here for.
Yeah, to take that.
And we're, in one sense, the fixers, aren't we? So we find a way, whatever happens, to deal with whatever's put in front of us.
Which was going to be my next question around how do families ever realise how much you've quietly resolved for them? But they don't always need to know.
And they don't need to know because why would you put that on them?
Yeah.
Because all you're going to do is you're going to get them upset or wound up or frustrated with whatever's going on. Let us deal with it. You're trusting us to deal with things in the background, and we'll make sure that everything's right for you on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think there are any moments where you know the right thing for a family, even when it's hard? You know,
I can maybe think I know the right thing for people, but I can't be a decision maker for people.
Yeah.
I've got to, if I think it's the right thing, I would never make the decision for somebody. I would still have to, in some way, bring it up in conversation. But if people are set on things, then it's all about choices. Yeah. They're entitled to go with whatever they want, and it's not for me to make their mind up for them, even if maybe I think I know it's the right thing for them to do. I question a lot. When people put things in front of me, I always question a lot and try and get to the bottom of the reasoning. And then there have been occasions, I guess, when I've got to the bottom of that and people have thought, well, I didn't even put that kind of thought to that. And yeah, obviously, why am I not doing that? But they've then made their decision. I haven't coerced them into that. I've just given them the options. Yeah,
definitely. So when we talk about emotional intelligence and what is required, I think there's a lot of emotional intelligence required within being a funeral director. Would you say that's quite underestimated?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're a good funeral director, and there's an awful lot of good funeral directors out there, you know, it's probably a scenario you've seen 1,000 times. Nothing or very, very few things are unique in the sense of this is going to challenge me. I don't know personally how to deal with this. There'll be some way, and if you haven't, through conversation with your colleagues, then you'll know a way of dealing with it or advising for something.
Yeah, okay. So funeral directors, they obviously do a lot, and I've always been curious about, you know, how funeral directors work, and obviously seeing how you work and understanding there's tons of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, isn't there? But, you know, much of this work is invisible to the public, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll only see the bit. It's like the iceberg effect, isn't it? They'll only see the bit poking out of the water.
Yeah.
They won't see everything that's going on in the background. And
Yeah.
in one sense, do they either want to or need to see a lot of the things that are going in the background? We're not hiding anything from anybody, but would it benefit them by knowing or seeing everything that physically happens in the background? Why would they need to sit with me while I have 3 people on the phone at the same time? You've got a minister, a crematorium and a caterer on different phones, trying to sort out a time at the same time. There's loads of different scenarios you could put to that. Issues with paperwork from doctors or coroners. Why would I burden families with that? Then let us deal with that for you.
Yeah.
If there's a query on it, if something's come up that none of us knew about, let me deal with it. Because throwing that back at you, all it's going to do is just put more and more burden on them and get them more upset.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, okay. And I think that sort of plays out as well, you know, when we advertise for maybe a trainee funeral director. And I think once you've got somebody, you know, that you've chosen to come into our line of work, and you sit them down and you start to talk about the training and what they need to be aware of, I think it blows their mind a little bit. We've got to be really careful around overwhelm when we're training, don't we? Because I think there's that sort of thing, oh, being a funeral director, it's you walk in front of a car, you know, you're meeting and greeting people, and, you know, and rightly so, that's probably what people should only see, isn't it? But there's so much more.
And I think that's been shown recently, where we recruited a new admin team member, and she actually sat, because she was being shadowed by somebody else. She was shadowing somebody else, sorry. And she actually said to me that, I can't believe how much goes on in the background. Even going through the recruitment process that she went through with us, the funeral directors, there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And you are literally jumping from one thing to another. But if you haven't got a logistical mind, it will never work.
No.
You'll just end up tripping yourself up. I work really well with deadlines, as you probably well know.
We do.
If a deadline's set, I know that's what I'm working to. Some of the other funeral directing team want everything dealt with as quickly as possible. But for me, I know where my deadlines are. I know that that's what I can work to. And that's just how I've always been. But yeah, to recruit somebody, you've got to be able to see into them and realise that they can take this on board.
Yeah.
It's not just a job. It's never going to be just a role.
No.
And through listening, again, as part of the process that we do when we recruit people, we can kind of see that in some people.
Yeah.
But then when you start them on the process, they still will never have known how much goes into it. But it's nice little steps as you're training people to the point where eventually, before you know it, they've grasped it. Yeah. And if they don't, not everybody makes it, sadly. But we've usually got a really good eye. So it's very, very rare that we do lose somebody from not being able to fulfil the role that they were there to come and do.
Yeah, I think, like you say, being logistical, organised. And I think, you know, we always strive for perfection, don't we? And I think that's the thing. You only get one shot at striving for perfection, don't you?
We do. And we can't say that 100% of the time everything goes exactly to plan. It's how you react to it if you have a curveball thrown at you. Because usually it's something that turns up on the day of a funeral service that you weren't expecting, and somebody's thrown that curveball at you. It's not something you created yourself. It's just how you adapt to it. And that's where your reactive sense kicks in well.
Yeah. Okay, so last couple of questions then. So if families understood just one unseen part of your role, what would you want it to be?
Oh, my word.
Let's put you on the spot.
An unseen part. Yes, I do still get involved in bringing people into our care. Yes, I do still prepare people for the funeral services. Yes, I still do put handles on coffins. Just because people think that I'm one of the owners of the company, that I sit back and let everybody do everything else. Everybody has a role, but we all have to jump into other people's roles at times. And I'm quite happy washing a car or doing whatever I need to do to look after those that were there to serve.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything that you think that anybody does in our profession, even down to working through bits on Xero and accounting systems, which I really don't like doing, but yeah, there's elements of that as well.
I think the team also like it when you get stuck back into some of the other tasks, don't they?
Yeah, it's nice to have a presence there. I mean, we're always there, but occasionally, I'll get told if I've gone too far.
Yep.
And just let us deal with that kind of thing. But yeah.
Okay. So what keeps you doing this work, even on the hardest days?
The one and only reason why anybody should be doing this is for the benefit of the people that you serve. At the end of the day, I've said it before, I'm a Scunthorpe lad. Scunthorpe's been good to me. I know an awful lot of people from a lot of different parts of Scunthorpe. I was born on a council estate in Scunthorpe. I've rubbed shoulders with some of the millionaires from Scunthorpe. Doesn't matter to me. We are all one people, and it really, really doesn't matter. I get on great with a lot of the ethnic minorities around town. I think a lot of the Islamic people that we deal with, I've known them for donkey's years. I've grown up with them. There's quite a lot of Polish community, old Polish community that I got on really well with. The newer Polish community, they're not people that I've kind of spent a lot of time with. So yeah, but I don't even know where this question was going now. I love everything about what I do, and why would I not do it? I'm privileged enough to be in this position, and I've been for 30 odd years now. I come to work because I want to. Yeah. I've never woke up thinking, oh God, I've got to go to work. It's what am I going to be doing? What am I going to be dealing with? How can I help people? We show that with all the other stuff that we do with not all the charity stuff we shout about, but some of it people will see because it's benefiting community. I love community, and it's all about what we can do for them. And if you look after your community, they're going to look after you. Yeah, simple as that.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for that insight.
No problem at all.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Just Talk Funerals. It was great to have an understanding of what Jason does do that maybe does go a little bit unseen, and some of our other funeral directors also do other areas of what does go unseen too, don't they? They do. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Just Talk Funerals.
We really care about what you think. We'd love your feedback on the subjects raised today, or maybe you have a question you would like us to talk about in a future episode. You can contact us by emailing podcast@threadgoldfunerals.com.
If you'd like to know more about what we do and the services we offer, then please head to jasonthreadgoldfuneraldirector.com. Thank you for joining us today, and see you next time.